Next, we have Mamavi Oswabwaji having an interaction with the Deputy Director of Driver Training, Testing and Licensing with the DVLA. And you know, we do have our campaign Arrive Alive. Now, straight away, we take you to the DVLA. Mamavi, good morning. Mamavi, you're on.
Oh, when we have to go. Okay, good morning to you, Roland. It got really heated in the studio.
It's good that you can feel the vibe.
Thank you, Roland. And we're here at the DVLA. This is the 37th office of the Driver Vehicle Licensing Authority, and I am here obviously because of our Arrive Alive campaign, that campaign that seeks to find a solution to the many accidents that unfortunately we're recording on our roads today. And there's a plane just passing, so we've got to give it some few seconds so you can hear me very clearly. But you're watching the AM show. My name is Mamavi Oswabwaji. I'm coming to you live from the 37 DVLA, here with a Deputy Director, Driver Training, Testing, Licensing. Mr. Kafui Semavo will have the interaction with us. Good morning, and I think you are the best person for us to talk to, especially because you're in charge of driver training and licensing. So good morning.
Good morning.
How worried are you about the many accidents that we're recording these days?
Before I respond, let me just congratulate Joy FM or the multimedia group for this campaign, which we also wish to join. But we are very worried because the interventions that we put in place, right? We do not expect to be seeing what we see. But if you look at the causes or the reasons these things are happening, it is more of human error. And we have the opinion that people shouldn't be dying because somebody else made a mistake. And therefore, we are looking at how can we enforce the regulations, how can we enforce laws that will correct behavior, what sort of training should people be taking through for them to develop their skills and competences in a manner that even without anybody watching, they will willingly comply to the regulations on our roads.
Okay, so thank you for coming on board our Arrive Alive. We will talk about the exact collaboration that we'll be doing in the days ahead. But let's talk about the commercial drivers.
Yeah.
Do they go through the same training that everyone else in terms of the private drivers also go through?
Now, there are two categories. There are commercial drivers who were licensed before 2012 when the LI was passed. The LI 2180 specifically was passed. Now, in that LI, it requires of every person applying for the driver's license the first time to go through a certified training institution. So if any commercial driver at that time was applying for a driver's license the first time, that person was required to go through a training before the license is issued. But for those who already had a license before the law was passed, the law also makes provision for them that before their licenses are renewed, they are to show evidence that they have attended some training and especially refresher training before the license is renewed. But of course, since 2012, the provisions that are in the law are being implemented in phases. Last year, we started looking at commercial driver training, and I'll say a very big thank to the President for supporting us together with the National Road Safety Authority to train across the country 13,000 drivers.
Okay.
This year, we started discussion as to how the second batch will be trained. Now, once we have a lot of them trained, then we will start to implement the provision that requires that they show evidence before their licenses are renewed.
Okay.
Now, the interesting part is that even the unions themselves are buying into this.
As in the driver unions
are buying into this, recognizing the fact that yes, they provide very important service to the economy, and therefore training is very important for their members.
Okay.
So
until we see the second batch go through the training, what happens now?
So what is happening now? The 13,000 it's not all of them whose licenses are due for renewal.
Okay.
Yes. So as of when your license is due for renewal, you come, you just show the certificate that you were awarded, and the renewal will be done. I'm sure by the time we get to the second quarter or the third quarter of this year, we would have done a lot of training, and therefore that would be the right time for us to start straight enforcement of the provision in the LI.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you made reference to human errors with regards to the many accidents that we're recording these days. So what do you think is going on there? Is it a lack of a certain type of training?
If you look at the reforms that we've done regarding our training, I will not attribute it to training. Now, these are people who go through standardized training, get out and meet the requirements at the DVLA, pass their test, and are given licenses. Between the time they leave the DVLA and start driving on the road, a lot of things happen. Okay. Now, if after being licensed, you are going to come back to the DVLA in 2 years, it is also a requirement placed on you, or when the license is given to you, which is a privilege, that comes with a responsibility. Once you have that license, you have the responsibility to ensure that you abide by the rules and regulations that govern the license. But what do we see? People go out there and they start to do things that are out of what they were taught and what they even exhibited at the test. So for me, basically, it is just that people don't care, and therefore we need to step up enforcement, because I'm sure that is the way we will have the greater impact we want to have.
Okay.
Yes.
What does enforcement mean? And let's talk about something that is very familiar. There are vehicles that have the roadworthy stickers that sometimes you wonder, did they really go through physical inspection before they were given those stickers? So do all these commercial vehicles that we see with roadworthy stickers, do they go through the right processes?
All right, so to ensure that our test meets requirements and makes the vehicle safer for use, we actually started a program where just physical inspection was not enough, but we brought in the third parties or the private sector to start to do equipment-based testing, where vehicles are not just inspected by visual inspection and certified. Now, what it is that these centers are across the country, but not everywhere. So we still have some jurisdictions where the visual inspection is done, and then we have where, like Accra, for instance, currently in 37, we don't do any roadworthy inspection. They are all done by the private sector. But yes, it is true that we have some commercial vehicles that are not supposed to be on our roads. And what we have done is that, together with the MTTD, we have our task force, which I just spoke to you about, who would go around to look out for these vehicles. The other thing we want to do, especially with this collaboration with multimedia, is to engage the various commercial transport terminals and then visit them, find out which vehicles are not supposed to be on the road because they are not roadworthy. Now, the point
is it because they are not roadworthy because they don't have the roadworthy stickers, or they have the stickers but they are still not roadworthy?
There are two things. You may go through the inspection, leave, and you may develop faults after the inspection. The sticker has been given to you because you are going 6 months, every 6 months to do the inspection. Now, within the time you had the inspection done and certified, and then the time the 6 months elapsed, anything could happen. But we expect that the owners of the vehicle take up the responsibility to ensure that even when the sticker is valid, the vehicle is still in the condition it was before it was certified. Now, if they are not doing this, then it is for us to step in and make sure they are doing it. And that is why we want to visit the various terminals, engage the leadership, encourage them to make sure that the vehicles that carry the passengers around are roadworthy. Now, the first step we want to take is that these vehicles that are identified will be told what is wrong and be given time to fix it.
Okay.
That will do a follow-up. If it is not done, then we have to apply some sanctions.
So what timelines are you given? So if you came in and realized that there were a few vehicles that were not roadworthy per your the standards that you're using, and what time would you give them to fix?
Now, if let's say we go in and see, depending on what the problem
so
is.
So say there are no seat belts, for instance.
If there are seat belts, I mean, I can say that within 14 days minimum, we'll go back to find out whether those things have been fixed. Okay, if they are not done, then we can issue the layoff certificate to lay off those vehicles.
The issue is this would not be the first time that you'd be making an appeal to owners of vehicles and drivers to have seat belts in their vehicles.
Yeah, but you recall that when the policy was started, it started and there was some resistance. Okay, but now looking at the feedbacks we are getting, right, we can't sit back and say because people resisted, it is not good for us. What is good for us, we need to educate the people to understand why it should be done, and we need to guide them to do it and do it right.
But how sure are we that you will not excite us by saying you're going to enforce something and then leave us in the middle when there is a lot of pressure on you? I mean, also remember that this is a crucial year.
So remember, we have a dedicated task force, and that is their daily duty. Now, the collaboration is that it's sort of naming and shaming approach to it.
Okay.
So
that's why we're doing it together.
Exactly. So I don't see this collapsing, and I believe that when you are enforcing a particular regulation, it is the way you enforce it that sustains it. So we are not doing the traditional way of arresting and punishing, but we are approaching it in a manner that we encourage compliance. Okay, I mean, if I sit a driver down and I explain to you what the seatbelt can do to you, I don't think that he will go back and say I will fix it. And also, when after explaining to you, and you know that if you don't do it, it comes with some sanctioning, and that sanction affects your daily bread, of course you will have to fix it.
Okay.
And it is not an extraordinary requirement on a driver to have a seatbelt or to have his lights or the brakes functioning well. It saves you, the driver, it saves other road users.
Okay, so let's talk about how this is going to work. When is the task force going out?
I think we had the first discussion with your team. We are going to finalize this week. Then we all agree on the date and communicate the date to the various target groups that we want to visit.
Okay. So they will know that we are coming.
Yeah, they will know. The point is this. You may know that we are coming, but you don't know when we are at a particular terminal.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. We don't know when we are at a particular, because we don't want people to make up for us to go and there is nothing. Yes. I mean, generally we inform you that maybe in March we are undertaking this exercise, but when we are arriving at your location,
you would not know.
Yeah.
Explain the makeup of the task force.
So the task force is made up of the DVLA, the National Road Safety Authority, and then the Police MTTD. Yeah, these three makes up the task force.
Okay.
Yeah.
And initially we're not making any arrests.
They did make a lot of arrests.
As in on this operation that we're going to go on. The beginning is to sensitize and educate.
And then once we've done that, we have identified who has a problem and to resolve.
Okay.
So the second visit is now enforced. Yeah. And that is what we call the encouraging compliance.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if you just join us, I'm talking to Kafui Semevo. He's in charge of driver training and licensing as in deputy director at the DVLA. We are the 37 DVLA office, and it's because of our Arrive Alive campaign. You've heard us talk to survivors and people that those who died left behind. We've been sharing very emotional stories with you, survival stories with you as well. And we want to tackle this as we encourage people to also do the right thing on our roads, all because we want to see less accidents on our roads. So that's why we're here. And Kafi was telling us about a collaboration that we're having together. So in the near future, you see a task force going to terminals, bus terminals, to do education. And then the drivers would be given some time if there's an issue that we find wrong, so that they can work on it. How long are we doing this?
I think this should be sustained throughout the year, as long as we can do it. The task force is something that operates every day, but if
also they still operate. I mean, because so they are ready to go out.
They are ready to go out. They are just
so what are they checking? Like when they go out, what are they doing?
Now, they have locations they stop at, and then randomly they pulled out vehicles. One, to verify documentation, and also to check whether the vehicle is compliant to roadworthy requirements. And sometimes they even look out for people who engage in overloading. Sometimes they look out for fake registration numbers. Yes, and a lot of things they look out for when they go out.
So do they make arrests when they go out now?
They do.
They do. And what happens? I mean, do we see prosecutions?
In some few cases, yes. But there are some that, like for expired roadworthy, for instance, you allow the vehicle to go for the inspection and get a roadworthy done. But where it involves fake vehicle registration, for instance, yes, that is for prosecution, because that is fraudulent.
So just before we end the conversation, because of the place where you're coming from and the experience that you have, as drivers and users of the roads, what are some of the things that we can do to prevent road accidents?
The first thing we should do is that, you see, every time you sit in your vehicle and move the vehicle, remember your chances of returning has reduced, because there are other people on the road who may not be complying, and therefore you yourself must be very defensive and also accommodate the mistakes other people make. When you do that, you see that things that would lead into accidents can easily be avoided. Let's keep to the speeds that have been displayed, and even when speeds are displayed, you should go beyond the speed and see whether the road condition even allows for you to drive at that speed. Your vehicle condition doesn't allow for you to drive at that speed. Currently, when you drive, every time you look in your back, in your rear view mirror, the immediate driver behind you, you see the person not concentrating, because the person is either on phone or making up or reading a paper. It's scary, but the moment you see these things, you have to be very careful. Yes, you have to be very careful. And once we start taking our lives first, taking responsibility that we need to save our lives, we will be able to save ourselves and save others. But where we become careless, then the situation becomes very, unmanageable. Now, if you get to junctions, people don't stop at junctions and they just drive in, and all these things we need to work at it ourselves as drivers in the first place, and make sure that we start to correct the wrong behavior. People drive, get to destination, and try to recall their style of driving and say, I nearly died. And if you nearly died, why did you do it? When you are tired, you are not supposed to drive. If you are tired, just have a rest. Your destination will still wait for you. All you need to do is to have proper time management and make sure that your trip is well planned and you don't need to rush.
I thank you for your time, and we hope that you're taking these tips rather very seriously. The thing about the makeup, well, most women are guilty of it. No newspapers, don't read the newspaper when you're driving, no makeup, certainly no texting or talking on the phone. Wherever you choose to go today, remember to arrive alive. Thank you for watching.
And that is what we're doing. We're using the campaign, going to the DVLA, the Road Safety Authority, but also what we want to do next is go to service providers in road safety, get to those who do education, driver training and all that. And I tell you, we all want to complement the effort of Joy News in making sure Arrive Alive, that great campaign for road safety, becomes a reality. And as we do that, you can also add your comment to great content on the campaign that we provide on social media. Facebook, Joy News on TV is there. At Joy News on TV is our Twitter handle. Make sure you add the hashtag Arrive Alive. Again, another hashtag AM Show and another hashtag Joy News. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have more for you right here on the show.